Alas, the second season of Daredevil is out for streaming, primed for seasonal reviews. Now, last time when I did do a complete review, it did end up quite rushed, and with how superhero TV shows end up flooded with other bigger reviewers, I figured I'll fixate on one specific attribute of a show, though I swear, I promise one of these big, long, red letter media style review for one of these shows. Maybe Breaking Bad, or even this show. But anyway, let's talk about what this show does well. Fight scenes. Or more specifically, the ones with long takes. Now obviously the show isn't the first to attempt this challenge, but it was certainly a highlight for the first season. And for the second season, they just jacked it up. So let's see how the show does its long takes. First, location. For the first season, we strictly focus on the hallway, not even seeing the action that goes inside the other rooms. Simple, basic, very much like Old Boy. The new season, on the other hand, starts off in a hallway. However, it then proceeds down a stairway and then into a completely different room. Way more moving pieces at play. Essentially a way of one-upping itself. Speaking of which, there is how Daredevil improves. The first season costume basically says it all. He's inexperienced and sloppy. Throughout this fight, he often gets tired, requiring the rest of the side of the wall. He even does a few unnecessarily painful flips. Damn it, Daredevil! Going on for second season 1, we automatically see how much he's improved. He gets tired less, does more tactical hits. He even uses the gun and chain which are attached to him to his advantage. Just plain smarter. Yet even so, the creators haven't forgotten that Daredevil's still human. We still get those moments where Daredevil just has to relish a few moments of rest. You earned it, buddy. Next up, build up. When breaking it down, these aren't just cool fights because they're long takes. There's a deliberate pacing which makes the fights feel intense. The first one has Daredevil starting to fight off screen, until the microwave comes out to remind us that there is more. And taking place in one section, we get to see all the Goonies that Daredevil fights, giving us a sense how long it'll be till it ends. Then with the second fight, the tension comes from what next floor Daredevil will go into, feeling like a video game boss with alternating stages. And we still get a sense of when the fight ends when we get towards the bottom floor. Next are the context of each fight. First season 1 is remarkably simple. A bunch of Russian human traffickers kidnap a kid, and Daredevil needs to stop them. Fairly simple until you realize Matt has just been beaten up and thrown into a dumpster, only saved by a local kind-hearted nurse. So Daredevil is at a physical disadvantage, essentially taking on the Russians to prove himself against odds. Simple and self-contained. For the second season clash, Daredevil just had a brutal psychological debate against Punisher, and after Punny provokes some dogs of hell, and Dare had to sedate him, and he just has to fight his way out. So this time around, the little boy's the grisly old Punisher. And it isn't as much of Daredevil overcoming adversity, as he is in better physical condition than he was last time. But with how his debate with Punisher was about not killing and trying to be better, the fight now feels more like a counter to Frank's argument, how he is able to prevail through all these guys without technically killing anyone. I mean, let's just think at the very beginning of the fight, how Daredevil threatens everyone with the gun to his hand, then smiles when remembering that the gun doesn't have any more ammo, and he gets to fight everyone more physically. It's very much meant to be interpreted as Daredevil getting his thrills, but I think it's also meant to imply that Daredevil's glad he doesn't have to use a weapon that could kill so easily. Different context, different fight. Great freshening up. Now let's quickly discuss some goofs. For starters, the second fight is not a completely long take. There's an edit here, as well as the final portion being edited. Now granted, with how hard these fights are to pull off, it's not much of a detriment to see a few edits here or there, in some otherwise impressive choreography. However, something noteworthy to point out is this one stuntman here. Notice how he's completely still during this whole off-screen fight. Then once Daredevil finally gets back on screen, he only now starts to slowly get up. I just think the stuntman which is acting on cues, only moving with certain beats. I mean, maybe we should have seen him slowly get up while Daredevil's off screen and back on. Just something hard to unsee once you think about it. But now for the sake of comparison, let's have a final verdict. The second one I admire more for its greater ambition, but I think the first one had a greater emotional resonance, especially being the first of the two fights. Now seeing how this has become a tradition, let's predict the next long take fight of either the third season of the show, or the inevitable defenders joining. Maybe up the stakes for location being some factory, or moving vehicle. Have it where instead of some basic thugs be some ninjas. Maybe even conclude with some big final boss like Bullseye, maybe even Kingpin. Could only dream. Anyway, if you like, feel free to comment and subscribe. Or maybe even see some older videos.